Is that the light making me look pale as a ghost? Am I dying? I don't know. If you haven't been with me very recently, you will not know that I've become obsessed with Monster High, and there are many reasons for that. But in this very special episode today, we're going to talk about representation in the Monster High media. It is hopefully still the tail end of Autism Awareness Month, so we will be taking a look at Fearbook Twyla. Twyla is an autistic character in the Monster High canon in Generation 3, if you did not know. Very exciting, but we're going to start out the video by talking about the representation generally in the dolls and the media, because this is an interesting topic to me. I mean, I got roped in because aesthetically I liked the dolls, but I was like, I don't really have space for another collection. Then I got a couple, watched all of the media. I'm all in, and there are many reasons for that. I have never been diagnosed with any neurodivergencies, but I'm fairly certain that I have at least one, if not two, maybe a touch of autism and a little bit of ADHD. Now, while I was growing up, girls didn't have ADHD because their presentation of symptoms was so different than boys that they never would have been diagnosed. And I was really high functioning as a kid, like extremely smart, but also marched to the beat of my own drum, a little bit quirky, a little bit weird, maybe didn't fit in a lot of the crowds, but also like was able to slide in all at the same time because I'm an expert masker. And that's sort of like the aesthetic of me as a child growing up. A little bit quirky, a little bit weird, not quite fitting in, a lot of stuff going on in the brain. Never diagnosed with any neurodivergencies, but I mean, my presentation of symptoms speaks for itself. Would you like to hear them? I'm sure you have some of these too. Intense hyperfocus, intense attention to detail. I get overwhelmed very easily in large crowds and situations. I'm sound sensitive. I have a hypervigilance that may be born out of childhood trauma, but also could be related to autism or ADHD. My brain processes information seemingly very differently than other people. I have a capacity to look at a garment and know exactly what it looks like flat. I don't know what that has to do with, but it seems a little bit autistic to me because the brain's always trying to put together a puzzle. And, really the list goes on and on. But the one thing that has been a constant throughout my entire life is the creative constant. I've always been a creative little girl, a creative little fella, a creative little thinker. And that has brought me to the doll hobby because I feel like there's so much creativity to be had with dolls. Not only is it the fashion element, the customization element, there's also the story element. And again, that's what we're discussing today, is the story element of Monster High and why I feel like it's important, especially right now in today's political climate. And so I did take notes. Am I going to use these notes? Probably not, because I have ADHD, right? There will be spoilers ahead. I'm not going to ruin the total plot of the show for you. I'm kind of going to more talk about the characters. But if you don't want to know about the characters here, maybe this video isn't for you. I can also link the timestamp down below if you just want to see the doll review. But also, if you're anything like me, you could watch this video, forget everything I said, and still enjoy the media. So up to you. Let's get into the lore of Monster High. Representation in media, I feel like, had been on kind of an upswing during, a certain period in history. And Monster High kind of was moving in that direction during that time. When Generation 3 came out, of course, there was media released with it. It is an IP of Mattel. This is really interesting to me. So as the story goes, I'm gonna start with a little bit of background. There's a girl, her name is Claudine Wolf. What a weird name for a person, but she's a person. But she's obsessed with monsters and doesn't really fit into society because she's a little bit different in the brain. She thinks a little bit different. Maybe her sense of smell is a little bit better than other people. I don't know. And so she studies monsters, the people, the human beings. They don't really get it. She feels a little bit outcast. She currently lives with her human father. Her mother is presumed dead. We don't know what happened to her. She's no longer in the picture, but on her birthday, her dad presents her with a lovely gift. It's her mother's necklace. It's a moon claw necklace. And so Claudine adorns this wonderful necklace. She goes wandering into the woods looking for evidence of monsters and stumbles upon, of course, Monster High. Now, she's a human being. Human beings aren't allowed in Monster High, but she meets all of these great monsters and feels a connection to them. She feels like she's finally found a place where she belongs. And one of the first monsters we meet in Monster High is Frankenstein. Frankenstein is representative of the non-binary community. Frankenstein is made up of different parts from different monsters. And so they never specifically say this in the media, but because they're made of male, female, general monster parts, they don't have a particular gender, and so therefore they are referred to as they, them. They are non-binary. Of course, very close to the beginning of the series, Claudine discovers that she is in fact a werewolf. She changes into her werewolf form. Now she's a monster. She's accepted into Monster High, and that's the beginning of the series, right? So we've got Weird Girl, we've got a non-binary character right off the bat. So then we meet some more of the main characters in the show. Shut the f*** up. There's Draculaura, who is a vampire, daughter of Dracula, a very high-profile family. One of the leading families in the monster world. Dad is very famous. And Draculaura, of course, is an overachiever because that's what the family expects. That's what the family is, a family of overachievers. But she's hiding a deep, dark secret, and that deep, dark secret is that she is also a witch. Witchcraft is not accepted at Monster High. It's a no-no. It's forbidden. But in addition to it not being accepted at Monster High, it is very not accepted in the vampire community. So she's got a secret. She's now different from her family. She's different from her fellow monsters. And of course, because the whole mood, vibe, and aesthetic of Monster High is that all of the students are very, well, that's not true. Most of the students are very accepting of each other. They're accepting of each other's quirks. There's this type of monster who does these things, this type of monster who does these things, but they all come together and are friends and can accept each other for exactly who they are, which is such a nice fantasy story for us to retreat into as quirky weirdos. Drac's friends are perfectly accepting of her witchery and keep that a secret from anybody who would seek to expose her at Monster High. Those are kind of the main three, right? They're like kind of the main characters in the show. We meet some other characters. There's of course Laguna, the fierce sea witch, but she's hiding a deep dark secret too, and that deep dark secret is that she still plays with toys. Sound relatable? Definitely relatable to me. Then of course there's Cleo Denial, one of my favorite characters from G1, and you know, kind of middle of the road for me in G3. But she of course comes from a royal family, but she's second in line to be the queen, and she's always striving to be as royal, to be as wonderful, to be as loved by the family as her sister Nephra. And that's a very relatable story to a lot of families. There's always like a preferred child, even though the parents say that there isn't. There always is. And in this family, it's like very obvious that the preferred child is Nephra. And in a situation like that, normally that person becomes egotistical. They think that the world is owed to them. They have a sense of entitlement, but no, not Nephra. Nephra is nice. She's always trying to help people. She's the type of leader that we could only dream of here in America. And that's just a really nice thing to see. A person who's held up on a pedestal by their family but uses that pedestal to do good in the world. Isn't that a lovely concept? There's an episode where we meet Abby Abominable. Abby Abominable is a Yeti, and the students at Monster High have never seen a Yeti because they think that Yetis aren't accepted in Monster High, but Abby has run away from home because her mother is overprotective, and she comes up with a series of lies to sort of justify this. And through meeting Abby and getting to know Abby, of course, these monsters that were kind of scared of Yetis accept her because she's just another monster just like them. And in the end, of course, it wraps up in a tidy little package where everybody learns that Yetis are accepted into Monster High. The mother has a total change of heart and it's like, oh yes, I'd like for you to not be so lonely and you should go be with your monster friends, which is, you know, unrealistic, but a lovely fantasy to live in. And there are a lot of unrealistic life lessons that happen very quickly, of course, because it is a children's television show. There's Heath. He is son of Hades. CEO of the underworld. That's how they describe him in the show. Hades, CEO of underworld, is your classic CEO, money hungry, power driven, has no time for his child, and the child is cast off to the side, not really thought about. And of course, because it's a TV show, by the end of the episode, Hades has a change of heart and really wants to spend time with his son and learn about his son, which is so lovely. Unrealistic, because personality is set in stone. Because you're not going to be a weirdo one day and then wake up normal the next. Neither is the power-hungry CEO with no empathy. He's not going to wake up the next day and just all of a sudden have empathy. It's not realistic, but it's a fun fantasy to live in. If you know what I mean, you see what I'm saying. And I feel like perhaps one of the most interesting and well-developed characters on the show is actually Twyla. She's kind of the bully, the mischief maker in the school. She's always doing some sort of hijinks because she wants to be the most popular and she wants to expose somebody's secrets. There's lots of little things that she does in the start of the season that make you not like her very much. But in sort of the middle of the season, her mother enters the picture. Her mother, another power-hungry, evil werecat who's striving to stay on top as leader of the were creatures, again, has no time for her daughter. She's nasty to everybody around her. She's your classic sort of narcissistic mother character. And through the associations with the kind, empathetic monsters around her, Twyla sort of learns lessons. She learns that instead of being nasty to everybody around her, if she's helpful, then friends rally around her. And there's a series of events that happen where she actually helps her friends take down her mother to sort of work towards a common goal. I'm not going to spoil the ending of the show, but it has to do with Claudine, her mother, and Twyla's mother in a magical, mystical fantasy ending, which is of course happy because it's a children's television show. And I feel like through the process, even though Twyla's mother is never going to come around and love her like she deserves to be loved, Twyla creates a family of friends that can rally around her and treat her like the werecat that she deserves to be treated as. Which just finding acceptance in a situation like that can make you a better monster or person. So that's kind of a basic overview of like-ish the plot line, but more the characters in the Monster High canon. I think they're really interesting characters. I think they're really relatable characters to a lot of different types of people in the world. And especially in today's political climate in America, it's really difficult for the different people because they're demonized. It's really politically fun to demonize the weirdos, the different people, you know, the people who are non-binary, the transgender people, the autistic people, just anybody who has a different thought process or different presentation. It's not a good time to be them in the United States of America. But retreating to a place like Monster High in a fantasy world, everybody's really accepting of everybody's flaws, everybody's differences. It's just a lovely place to go. And that's why I am super connected to the media at present. But the subject of today's video, she is an autistic character and she's a boogie monster. She has boogie monster powers. They often include dream manipulation, but her powers as relatable to human are observation, empathy. She likes to read. She can consume large quantities of information and remember it. But of course, she also has her issues. And while I talk about her issues, I'm going to start opening this box. Twyla's issues are that she's autistic. She's very upfront about it in the first episode we see her in, which is the creepover episode, where the monsters are having a sleepover in the library, and that's where Twyla likes to spend her days because they sleep during the day because they're monsters. Because it's a place she can go for solace. It's a place she can go to do the things she loves to do, which is spend time alone and read. The creepover is happening in the library and they're making a lot of noise. And Twyla comes out and the first thing she says is, you're being too loud. I'm autistic and I don't like loud sounds. And of course, the first thing the lovely monsters of Monster High do are apologize to her and say, we didn't know anybody was here. If we had known somebody was here and if we had known it was you, of course we wouldn't have made so much noise. So that's the beginning of the friendship. She also has a bracelet that she uses to stim when she gets anxious or nervous. She plays with a little bracelet around her wrist, which is really relatable and cute. We all love to fidget. I'm gonna struggle on. And in that same episode, Torla is making trouble. She wants to ruin the creepover. There's some sort of bet that they can't stay in the library all night long, whatever. She sends a bookworm into the library, and the bookworm starts wreaking havoc on everything, of course. And they're trying to fix the problem, but the bookworm is getting larger because it keeps eating more books. And finally, Twyla says, I need you all to leave. And they're like, no, we want to help you. And Twyla's like, I need to be alone and think. And that way I can solve this problem on my own. So everybody leaves. They do as she asks because they're very accepting. And Twyla uses her boogie powers to look into the bookworm's dreams and find out what it needs, the power of empathy and observation. She looks into his dreams and says, you need a safe place with lots of books. So she captures the bookworm and has it sent off to the book graveyard where it can live in peace and eat as many books as it wants because those books are out of date and dead. So that's Twyla's first episode that we see her in. And I just think it's amazing to represent an underrepresented group in a children's television show, especially about monsters, because we're already looking at a group that's sort of outcast from human society, right? So her next episode is an episode that is quite relatable. Apparently, boogie monsters have a rite of passage where they have to grow up everybody's worst nightmare, becoming an adult. And that, of course, is also Twyla's worst nightmare. She doesn't want to grow up, but she also, as an autistic person, has an intense fear of change. So this rite of passage is that she has to go into the dream world and face her fear, which of course is exactly what she's doing, which is growing up. And this is manifested in this like demon bunny that's like, when you grow up, it's gonna be all work all the time. You're gonna have to answer so many emails and go to so many meetings and have to do so much public speaking, which all sounds like my worst nightmare too. So again, very relatable. Because Twyla's struggling to defeat this night terror, it enters into everybody else's dreams in Monster High. So now everybody's exhausted because they can't sleep because they're constantly seeing this horror bunny in their dreams. And Twyla knows there's only one thing she can do. She has to face her fear so her friends can sleep. So she enters her friends' dreams. Of course, she asks for permission because we should always ask for permission if we're going to enter our friends' brains in the night. Let me just get these tea ties out. Oh my god. There's 3 of them. 3 of my worst nightmare. The tea tie. I think that's it. My dream, my worst nightmare would just be like a sea of tea ties. Everything's strapped in and I have to get it all out. And of course in the dreams, also the friends are there to help Twyla. So she enters dreams and she sees the horror bunny and it's, wreaking havoc all over people's minds. And Twyla's struggling. She's having a real hard time facing her fears because she's so afraid of the change, but then she remembers something that her teacher, Mr. Moth Manson, said. And Mr. Moth Manson, of course, is a moth, but he used to be a caterpillar. And he said, I'm the same caterpillar I used to be. I just have wings now, I can fly. Something like that. That's not the exact quote. I didn't write the quote down, but you get the idea. And Twyla remembers this and she's like, I don't have to change who I am. I just need to grow up. She's able to defeat the bunny. It becomes a cute little friend for her to hang out with, which is great. Another friend for Twyla, right? And she, says, instead of changing when I grow up, I can do something I love, like be a history teacher where I get to read all the history books. And that's true. Look at me. I'm grown and I sometimes make a little bit of money doing things with dolls. So that's kind of like a job, doing something I love, right? Sometimes it also feels like I work all the time, but whatever. So in conclusion on this topic of the Monster High media, I feel like it's more important than ever for those of us who maybe are a little bit different to find a place of solace and acceptance in the world, especially with the current state of things where I live here in the United States of America. And I feel like the doll collecting community can be a great place to go because we share a common interest. It's a fun space to talk about your hobbies. It's a fun space for creativity. It's a fun space to be a little bit of a weirdo and for that to just be okay. And so please use the comment section down below to express your thoughts, feelings, and opinions on this specific subject. Let me know down below if you're comfortable, if you have any neurodivergencies, and let's carry on the conversation about the Monster High media and how absolutely great it is for representation purposes. But now, I'm finally ready. I got the doll out of the box and it didn't even seem that bad to have a little look-ski. Let's look at the cover of the box. This is the Fearbook Twyla. We see a little cartoon of her here. It says Fave Club Ghoulish Gamers. And then it says that in multiple different languages. And then on the back is the Fearbook artwork. Apparently in this set there was a Twyla, a Drac, and the Twyla. I like this Twyla because she has short hair, and I feel like none of the other Twylas have short hair. Should I get her? You know, I'm a Twyla stan because I think she has the greatest character development in the show. Here's our little girl Twyla. Let's see what it says. After Ghoul activity, Game Master Spotlight. Why did you join the Ghoulish Gamers? Playing board games with my booze is a scream come true. And that's the only thing it says. It says that in 4 languages. And then we've got some books here, because we know she loves to read, and here she's playing a game, which is really cute. I think maybe they could have done a little more with the box artwork, honestly. I mean, they probably just didn't want to like plaster all over it. This is an autistic character. They probably wouldn't sell a lot of dolls, especially in today's political climate. But that, frankly, was a selling point for me in the doll. And so let's have a look first at her little accessories that she comes with. This isn't the most accessory-packed doll, but that's okay, because I feel like the ones she does come with are really cool. So the first thing that's not on her that was in the box is, of course, this little Letterman jacket. And how absolutely adorable is that? Well, look at that on her. We don't need to do a detailed review on this, I don't think, because you've probably already seen it. There's, of course, the Fearbook, which is just cardboard, but it does open up and we can see some art inside, which is really, really nice. And this just has Twyla, it has her little dream bunny, and then a bunch of, oh, and look, there's the Dream Bunny. It's the bunny she changed from Evil Bunny into Sweet Friend Bunny. And there's some art of her and Frankie there. There's Laguna in the corner. And then, of course, Dream Bunny, which apparently is one of her best friends now. And then Twyla there. I feel like I probably have said Twyla. I confuse their names, even though they're very, very different characters. And the back of that looks like this. It's cute. I mean, it could do with maybe like a page or 2 more, but you know, you get the idea. She comes with Boo Crisps because for some reason all these Monster High dolls come with food. This looks like a game design, and of course her game character is Dustin the Bunny. That's what she named her bunny after. It became her friend. That's cute. Another plate of food with some cute, scary monster food on it. And then there's her little game board here, which comes with a bunch of little game pieces, which is honestly so cute. And then of course it's Dustin the Bunny, her best bud. These could do with some painted detail, and I want to do just like a day where I paint all of the things that I keep saying I want to paint. There's a die, which has a lot of different numbers on it. A second one, which is purple. The first one was turquoise. And another Dustin the Bunny in purple. So cute. So those are the accessories. Here's the doll. We know her, we love her because she's not new and we've probably seen her before. These dolls are a Target exclusive. They cost $24.99, which I feel like, I mean, I usually buy them on sale, but the way I connected with this character, and specifically this doll was my favorite of her dolls. Like I just said, okay, whatever, I'll buy it. And the reason I like her so much is because I'm a big fan of this outfit. I think it's really cute and kind of like that style that I like maybe like a little bit Lolita, a little bit like gothic looking. I really like the style of that. It's got some like spiders and swirly patterns on it, as you can see, a precious little collar, some bows, some ruffles. Love to see it. She's of course got her purple skin complexion here. Her makeup looks beautiful. She's also got a really cute little face. I feel like, personally, for me, I feel like she could have been like a little bit softer. I feel like she looks a little bit fierce as a doll. And most of the dolls I like that way. Like when I look at the dolls versus the media, most of the designs, I prefer the doll designs. But I feel like for this one, just a little bit softer because she's so sweet in the show. And I just love that about her. She's got 2 hair clips, which are spider webs. She's got a beautiful hair blend. It's Sarangian. And it's purple and green, and it looks a little worse for the wear, but you know, I just combed out the hair on the other dolls and it looks kind of good now. A little bracelet here with one of those time things, the sand time things that you flip upside down, and the other one looks like her sim bracelet, which is cute. I'm glad they included it. She's got some like swirly whirly designs on her body. Her hands are a different color than the rest of her skin, which I'm not sure why. I think they were originally in the first dolls too, but in the show that's not the way it is. And then she's got more swirly whirly designs going down her legs in a warmer purple, and her shoes are really cool. Once again, could do with some painted detail, but they're turquoise. They've got a precious little bow on them, and then they're kind of like no heel heels. which is fun. And there's like a weird brown scuff on this one, but that's fine, no worries, it came off. And here's her little earrings, which I forgot to mention. They look like door knockers maybe. Cute. Pretty. And so here's the doll dressed up in her little Letterman jacket. I love this doll. I love everything she represents. I love that an autistic character is represented not only in doll form, but also in media. I feel like it's really nice for the neurodivergent among us to feel represented in a doll, and also to see themselves represented in media, even if it is just in monster form. Maybe monster form is more relatable anyway. So I hope you enjoyed this video today. I really just wanted to talk about Monster High. I don't know what took me so long. I feel like maybe it was like a thing in my brain where I was like, I know I'm gonna be obsessed with this and it's probably gonna be a problem for me monetarily, so let me just avoid it as long as I can. Now I'm all in. 110%. And I feel like it's the right time, you know, for me. So once again, don't forget to comment down below. It's a place for you to go where we can connect with like-minded people, talk about anything you want, doll related, Monster High related, personal related, I don't care. I'll answer them all. I enjoy reading your comments and I love carrying on the conversation. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this little girl in my display with the rest of her friends. I'll give you a quick little look and then we'll say goodbye forever. Just kidding. I'll be back probably in 2 days. And there they are. There's all of our monsters all together. I don't really have enough space for them right now. We gotta get the shelves up there so they can have a shelf to themselves. But for now, I let Twyla lay down here on top of that plug, trying to cover it up because it's ugly. And I'm letting her play her little game. I think that's cute. I think that's fun. She's with her friends, but kind of separate from them because she also enjoys her solitude, just like me. Love that about her. And I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you have a wonderful time. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful time. Goodbye.